Imagine living in the Ice Age. You have fire, spears, and even an entire tribe standing together. You think that's enough to keep you safe? The greatest mistake of our ancestors was believing that safety came with numbers. Because there was one predator that feared no human. In fact, it seemed to relish hunting Homo sapiens. And for centuries, it turned mankind into trembling creatures in the darkness. 28,000 years ago, the world was locked in ice. Vast sheets of glaciers stretched across continents, swallowing mountains and valleys, reshaping rivers, and leaving only small pockets of land where life clung on. In these frozen places, early humans struggled to endure, armed with little more than sharpened stones, fire, and fragile cooperation. They were not the rulers of this world. They were simply survivors, huddled against the cold, hoping to see another sunrise. And yet, even the ice and hunger were not their deadliest enemies. Something else lurked in the shadows, watching, waiting, hungering. Something that did not merely kill humans for food, but seemed to relish the chase. An apex predator, stealthy and patient, that made men and women shiver not only from the cold, but from the terror of being hunted. The Ice Age was not only an age of giants but also an age of predators. Saber-toothed cats, cave bears, dire wolves, hyenas larger than any alive today. But among these, one predator stood out in its relationship with humans. The cave lion, Panthera leospelea, was the largest lion species to ever walk the earth, with shoulders rising above a man's head and jaws strong enough to pierce bone. It was a killing machine. Unlike the mammoth, which lumbered across plains, or the woolly rhinoceros, which charged like a tank, the cave lion preferred precision. It was a creature of silence, ambush, and cunning. It knew the smell of human flesh, and evidence suggests it sought us out as prey. To understand this predator, imagine the life of a human tribe during those frozen centuries. A small band, perhaps 20 or 30 people at most, traveling together for warmth and survival. The men and women would forage for roots beneath snow, gather branches for fire, and risk their lives hunting reindeer or bison. At night, firelight flickered against the walls of caves, throwing shadows of trembling children and weary hunters. Yet fire could not drive away every terror. In the distance, golden eyes glowed, watching the warmth, smelling the scent of meat and smoke, listening to laughter and cries. The cave lion knew when to wait. It knew when humans were distracted. And when the time came, it would strike. Cave paintings across Europe tell us more than bones can. Found in places like Chauvet Cave in France. These images, drawn in flickering firelight by trembling hands, show lions stalking herds of bison, charging at mammoths, and, most disturbingly, encircling humans. The drawings are not random, they are warnings. Stories preserved in ochre and charcoal. Reminders of the beasts that haunted their nights. Archaeologists have also uncovered human bones bearing marks not from stone blades but from teeth, deep, crushing impressions that match the jaws of the cave lion. For ancient humans, lions were not distant myths. They were killers who lived just beyond the ring of fire. Imagine a frozen night some 30,000 years ago. A young hunter, no older than 20, carries a spear carved from mammoth bone. He has been sent to collect firewood beyond the safety of his tribe's shelter. The night is quiet, too quiet. Snowflakes settle on his shoulders, and the forest around him is still. He bends to gather a branch, and that is when he hears it, a low rumble, deep, vibrating through his bones. His breath freezes in his throat. He turns slowly, and in the pale light of the moon, he sees them, not one, but 3 cave lions, their massive bodies blending into the shadows, their eyes burning with hunger. He runs, his heart hammering, but the lions are faster. Within moments, the hunt is over. By dawn, only scattered bones remain, a grim lesson for the others who find them. For predators, humans were not the easiest prey. We had fire, sharp tools, and, most importantly, numbers. But these advantages did not always protect us. Unlike mammoths or bison, we were fragile. One swipe from a paw could break a ribcage. One bite could crush a skull. For cave lions, humans were both risk and reward, smaller than other prey. But slower, weaker, easier to ambush. They learned our habits, waiting near waterholes, trailing hunting parties, striking when someone wandered too far. They relished the hunt not only because of hunger, but because they could. This predator shaped the way our ancestors lived. Fires were kept burning longer. Caves were chosen with fewer entrances. Children were never left alone. Fear of the lion carved itself into human culture. Myths began to form. Stories of golden-eyed demons. Of beasts that lurked at the edge of dreams. Some tribes may have even worshipped the lion, painting its image on cave walls not merely as warning, but as reverence, hoping to appease the monster that claimed so many lives. What made the cave lion so deadly was not only its size, but its intelligence. Unlike saber-toothed cats, which were ambush specialists, the cave lion worked in groups. Evidence suggests they hunted in prides. Like modern lions, coordinating attacks with silent precision. Imagine facing not one giant predator, but several, each moving with perfect timing. Against such an enemy, even fire and spears might not save you. For humans, survival meant eternal vigilance. To sleep was to risk death. To wander alone was to invite doom. Yet the story of the cave lion is not only about fear. It is also about resilience. For every life lost, humans adapted. Spears became sharper, strategies improved, and courage hardened. The struggle between man and lion was not a simple tale of predator and prey. It was an arms race, instinct versus intelligence, muscle versus cooperation, and slowly, against all odds, humans endured. Still, we must ask, did the cave lion truly relish hunting humans? Or were we simply convenient prey? Fossil records suggest they had abundant choices: reindeer, horses, bison, mammoths. Yet the repeated evidence of human remains marked by lion teeth raises a chilling possibility. Perhaps for these predators, humans were more than a meal. Perhaps they were sport. The thought alone is terrifying. That deep in our evolutionary past, we were pursued not merely for sustenance, but for the thrill of the hunt. The cave lion, crouched in shadows, waiting for the moment of panic. The moment when human eyes widened and breath quickened. For a predator, that was power. And power, to a hunter, is irresistible. Even now, thousands of years later, we remember them, not in our daily lives, but in the stories of monsters that stalk the night, in the primal fear of glowing eyes in the dark. These are echoes of a time when humans were prey, when survival was never guaranteed, when the Ice Age predator that relished hunting humans ruled the frozen lands. As the frozen nights stretched endlessly across the ice-clad plains, humans learned to live with constant fear. But fear did not only make them fragile, it also made them smarter. Small tribes began to study the habits of the cave lions, memorizing their tracks, their sounds, even their scent. They knew that when the wind shifted, when the night became too quiet, when herds of wild animals suddenly vanished, those were signs that death was near. And while the cave lions stalked humans, humans began to stalk them in return. There were nights when roars thundered across valleys, making entire tribes flinch. A mother would clutch her child, staring into the darkness beyond the fire's glow. A father would sit with a spear in hand, eyes wide open, refusing to sleep. To them, the lions were not merely predators, they were the embodiment of death itself. And in that deadly dance, humans began crafting their earliest stories, passing down myths of beasts with golden eyes lurking in the night. These weren't tales for entertainment, but for survival. They taught children, never walk alone, never stray from the fire, never put down your weapon. Archaeologists today have found charred lion bones in ancient ashes. They prove that humans did not only cower in fear, sometimes they struck back. Perhaps a group of hunters set a trap, lured the beast close, then attacked with fire and spears all at once. Victories were rare, but each one became a story burned into collective memory. And from such moments, humans may have first learned to believe they could face and overcome even the most terrifying of predators. But picture this scene once more: a tribe camped by a river of melting ice. Children play near the shore. Adults sharpen stones and carve wood for tomorrow's hunt. No one notices that, far away on a snowy rise, a lioness lies perfectly still. She watches, waits, memorizes each movement and routine of the humans. By nightfall, she will not hunt alone. The pride will spread out. One to block the escape, one to strike from behind, others to leap from the shadows. The humans will never know they were being watched, until it is far too late. Fossil evidence suggests cave lions lived in prides of up to 10. With such strength, They could bring down mammoth calves and fully grown bison. But with humans, smaller, weaker, more vulnerable, they may have been even more dangerous. A coordinated night assault, when the tribe slept, could mean massacre. What remained afterward was not disease or storm, but bones scattered with the unmistakable marks of teeth and claws. What made them even more terrifying was their adaptation. Just as humans learned to watch lions, lions learned to watch humans. They realized that large groups with fire and spears were too risky. But a child who strayed, a woman fetching water, a hunter limping with injury, those were perfect prey. The way they chose targets revealed a chilling level of calculation. Was this not evidence that they truly relished hunting humans? Imagine another scene. A group of hunters follows reindeer far into the tundra, leaving their camp behind. In the camp remain only elders, women, and children. As darkness falls, enormous shadows approach in silence. Their steps are too soft to be heard. When the first lion bursts into the firelight, chaos erupts. Screams pierce the night. Wooden spears shatter. Flames roar in the wind. In the confusion, the lions snatch away a child. And then, as swiftly as they came, they vanish. When the hunters return, they find only ashes, blood stains on the snow, and eyes brimming with grief. That was the price of a single lapse. In oral tradition, such events became collective nightmares. The ancients had no writing, but they had memory and symbols. They painted lions attacking bison. But behind those images may have been the memory of lions attacking their own tribes. When we look at those paintings today, we see art. To them, it was survival. A lesson carved into stone so no one would forget. Interestingly, while humans feared lions, they also began to revere them. Some caves show signs of ritual. Lion bones placed apart, skulls carefully arranged. Perhaps these were offerings, or acknowledgments of the beast's extraordinary power. To Ice Age humans, only creatures with supernatural strength could instill such paralyzing terror. Today, looking back, we may see a simpler truth. Humans and cave lions were rivals. Locked in competition for the same resource, life itself. Both hunted, both lived in groups, both needed land, water, and fire. And when two apex predators share the same unforgiving world, conflict is inevitable. But what makes this story chilling is the possibility that cave lions had a special fascination with humans, beyond hunger, beyond necessity. Modern scientists still debate, did cave lions truly enjoy hunting humans? Or is this only the echo of ancestral fear? Whatever the answer, the fact remains, for thousands of years, humanity lived under their shadow. And that fear shaped us, forcing us to bond closer, to think sharper, to become braver. Because when we were no longer hunters, when we became prey, that was when the human survival instinct burned brightest. And from the frozen shadows of the Ice Age, from the bloody clashes with these monstrous lions, humanity did more than endure. We rose. Centuries passed in the frozen world, and the struggle between humans and cave lions carved itself into the very fabric of survival. Every encounter was a test, of wit against muscle, fire against fang, courage against terror. For every story of loss, families torn apart, camps raided in the dead of night, there was also a story of defiance, of humans daring to strike back. Picture a cold dawn, smoke rising from a cave where a tribe huddles together. The night before, a lion had taken one of their own. The grief is fresh, but alongside it burns rage. Hunters sharpen their spears, coat the tips with fire-hardened resin, and whisper to each other not words of fear, but words of vengeance. They follow the tracks into the snow, step by step, deeper into the lion's domain. Hours pass. Then, in a narrow valley, they see it, the great beast. Golden eyes flashing, mane bristling against the wind. For a moment, silence. The hunters know one mistake means death. But they also know that if they do not act, the lion will return again. With a cry that echoes off the ice, they charge. Spears strike, claws lash, snow darkens with blood. When the battle ends, the hunters stand trembling, some wounded, some weeping, but the lion lies still. And in that moment, humanity has claimed more than a victory. It has claimed hope. This cycle, fear, loss, retaliation, was repeated countless times. It shaped human behavior in ways we still carry today. Why do children fear the dark? Why do tales of monsters lurking at the edge of the fire persist across cultures? Perhaps because, long ago, there truly were monsters, waiting just beyond the light. Archaeological evidence tells us that cave lions roamed vast territories across Europe and Asia. They were not isolated predators, but a dominant force, influencing where humans could settle, when they could travel, even how they organized their groups. Entire migration routes may have been altered to avoid lion territory. In that sense, the cave lion was not only a predator of individuals, but a predator of possibilities, shaping human destiny by limiting where we could safely exist. But humanity was never a passive victim. Over time, our ancestors developed new strategies. Spears became deadlier, groups hunted in tighter formation. Fires were arranged not just for warmth, but as defensive walls. Some tribes may have even learned to bait lions deliberately, using fire and noise to confuse them before delivering coordinated strikes. These moments required incredible bravery, yet they also reveal a truth. Every time we faced the cave lion, we became more than prey. We became challengers. And slowly, across thousands of years, the balance began to shift. The very intelligence that lions once exploited, the human tendency to wander, to explore, to risk, was the same intelligence that birthed tools, weapons, and strategies powerful enough to push lions back. While lions relied on muscle and instinct, humans built knowledge. Each story told around the fire was not just a memory, but a lesson. Every scar from a claw or tooth became a symbol, reminding the tribe to never be careless again. Knowledge accumulated, courage spread, and inch by inch, humanity rose from the shadows of fear. Yet the question remains, did the cave lion truly relish hunting humans? Evidence suggests they had plenty of prey, herds of reindeer, horses, bison, mammoths, and yet, human remains bearing lion marks continue to appear. One could argue it was opportunism. Nothing more, but there is something chilling in the consistency of the evidence. Humans were small, fragile, and vulnerable compared to other Ice Age beasts. And perhaps that vulnerability triggered something primal in the lions, not just hunger, but a darker thrill. Predators are not machines. They choose, they adapt, and sometimes, they kill not because they must, but because they can. Imagine the final encounter of a tribe on the edge of survival. Their numbers are few, their food scarce, their fire dimming. One night, the lions come. The tribe fights bravely, but the odds are impossible. At dawn, the valley is silent. The lions feed and then move on, leaving only bones and ashes. To them, it is another night's hunt. To us, it is tragedy. But in that tragedy lies something powerful. The reminder that our existence was never guaranteed. We survived not because the world allowed it, but because we fought tooth and nail against a world that wanted us gone. In time, the cave lions themselves vanished. Around 14,000 years ago, they disappeared from the earth. Climate change, dwindling prey, and perhaps, increasingly, the pressure of human expansion sealed their fate. The hunters who once trembled at their roars became the conquerors, spreading across continents, leaving fire and stone tools in their wake. The golden-eyed terror that had haunted humanity for millennia faded into memory, then into legend, and finally into silence. But silence does not erase fear. It transforms it. The echo of those nights, when glowing eyes circled the firelight, still lingers deep within us. It lives in our myths of demons in the dark, in our thrill at horror stories, in the way our hearts race when we hear a growl in the distance. The cave lions are gone, but the memory of being hunted remains etched in our blood. And so we must ask, who truly triumphed? Did humanity defeat the lions? Or did the lions, by forcing us to adapt, give us the tools to conquer the world? Perhaps the truth is both. Perhaps our rise was born not in spite of them, but because of them. For every time they circled our camps, every time they tore into our kin, they sharpened us like stone against flint. They taught us to fear, and in mastering that fear, we learned to endure. The Ice Age predator that relished hunting humans is no longer here to stalk the frozen plains. But its legacy endures in the stories we tell, in the instincts that make us glance nervously into the night, in the fire we still keep burning against the darkness. It reminds us of a time when we were not kings of the earth, but fragile creatures clinging to survival, hunted by beasts that seemed unstoppable. And it reminds us that survival is never given. It is taken, fought for, and earned. So tonight, when you sit by a fire, Imagine the crackle of wood, the shadows dancing on stone walls. Beyond the glow lies endless dark. And if you look long enough, if you listen closely, you might feel it too, the echo of golden eyes watching, waiting, savoring the hunt. And if stories like this ignite your curiosity about how our ancestors struggled, fought, and survived in the shadows of monstrous predators, then this is just the beginning. Here at Hidden Horrors, we uncover the untold battles of early humans, the fear, the courage, and the fragile spark of survival that brought us here today. Right finger if you want to keep exploring the dark, dangerous, and fascinating past of humanity. Subscribe to the channel now. Thumbs up, leave a comment, and tell us, would you have survived the Ice Age predators? Bell, and don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss the next story of survival. Because the horrors of the past are never truly gone.